Everyone else is just there. Nash is alright too. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't think of like Royce works. Perfect voice for her. Face is okay. Zenobia is pretty good, not bad. But other than that, like yeah, it's not the most stellar performance, but it kind of works in the game's favor to give it a cheese and charm, but at the same time, like I have to be real and say that it's not that great. Some people say it's so great that the PSP version lacks soul and all that stuff. I don't know about that. I mean, honestly, a lot of nostalgia can blind you to, like, can prevent you from, like, being open-minded about, like, differences and changes for the better, obviously. So, like, there are some, it's not always true that new is better, though, so I understand. So, overall, like, would I recommend this? This is now the overall assessment. Would I recommend this game to play? Sure. Like, if you want, like, something that, a story, like, honestly, like, you could play the darkest story, and then bad things happen, and the character is a gruffled, cynical hero. The voice that he used for Kyle is better in my opinion. Oh, thank you. I also, yeah, that's weird. Like the voice for Kyle actually, I'm sorry, I'm going back to sound again, but the voice for Kyle, it sounds almost too gentlemanly for what he is. And I never really thought of Kyle as a gentleman. He's more of a rough guy, and he's just like, he'd be talking like this, all the time. And thank you. I'm glad you liked my Kyle voice. I'm hoping not to, it's kind of a hard one for me to do. And one other thing that's weird about sound is like there's actually not that many voice acting clips compared to like Pot Fumeo, which is an earlier Working Designs game. It's weird. I'm not sure why they have so few voice, but I guess that's probably how the Japanese version was, so maybe that's just the way it is. It's kind of, so I had to do a lot of, when I was reading out the lines, I had to change a lot of voices and try to imitate some people, and I kind of forgot some of the voices, so I ended up using my own. For Shenzhen 2, I'll probably have more freedom to do that because there's no voices in that game, thankfully, so I don't have to imitate. So anyway, overall, like, I'd say, like, yeah, you should go ahead and play it. Like, it's not so difficult that you can't, like, it's great for people who don't have reflexes. You don't have to have reflexes. You're only good at planning. And if you're not good at planning, you can always just grind. And you have that option too. The only thing that you have to worry about is, like, points of no return. Those are the worst ones to deal with. And that's especially near the end. Especially the final dungeon. You cannot escape that final dungeon. Once you're in, you're stuck. So that's actually, I actually think that's kind of bad. I think that you should always allow your player to, because that final dungeon took so long. Excuse me, and it's like, really, let him go, guys. Let me, like, if I had not saved an extra one outside that dungeon, if I had come to a point where I had run out of items and I was not able to beat the final boss, I was screwed. I could not win the game. And I would literally, if that had been my only save, I would have had to restart the entire game again. And it's just so lame. It's lame. It is waste. You wasted the player's time of 35. Oh, partner, Mario and Luigi, the point of no returns? Yeah, I hate that. It's like, what's the point? Why do you want to punish the player? Oh, I haven't played Partners in Time yet. Let's not. I don't want to talk. I don't want to be told. It's possibly a game I want to play in the future, so I'm going to probably not talk about it for now. I want to form my own opinion. But I mean, post game, not having side quests is okay, and not having post game is okay for me. Honestly, I honestly don't really care too much for post game these days. But it's just a difference in my own preferences. But Lunar, there's kind of no side quests. That's also another thing I should mention. And in Lunar, you don't have, yeah, that's just that point of no return. That's just a flaw. That's a huge flaw. And if you had, you could end up in a point where you could not beat the game, and that's stupid. That's fine. I'm honestly don't care for post game as much anymore. But I mean, because I don't, yeah, I just want to play a game. I just, as long as the story was good, it's fine. Like, I actually don't do, I don't, like, post game is good. I feel it's like it's icing. Like, if the post game is really good, then that's great. The one thing I want to mention is that at least this game gives you kind of an epilogue that you can talk to the people in Maribia. So that's pretty cool. It's not quite as, okay, I can't spoil it. Earthbound has a really, really good epilogue, but I can't spoil what that's about, because without anyone having played the game, because there's possible that people here have not played the game yet. So I could talk about, I will not mention that, and you should play Earthbound for yourself on the Wii U Virtual Console or on a Super Nintendo of your own choosing, either by a flash card or by having the real card itself, even though the real card's like $100 or $150 depending on where you buy it. Or you could play on the emulator, which is fine. The other thing I want to mention is, so yeah, that's just stuff I want to make mention of. And like overall, I would recommend this game. If you're careful about your saves and you don't have great reflexes, you should be fine. And if you like happy stories, a story just like you feel like, man, I just want to do something good and have something positive in my life, this is the game to play. This is a very positive game. It's all about like, let's see. Oh, Wii U. Oh, you're talking about Earthbound? Earthbound's not on the Wii VC. You have to get on the Wii U VC. And it's like $10 from what I remember. Totally worth it. People was like, oh, $10 is too expensive. No, it is totally worth it. Anyway, getting off Earthbound. We're not going to talk about Earthbound now. But overall, like, yeah, this is a pretty fun game. If you hate all of life and you're like, I don't want to play something cliche and I want something artsy and exciting, and I want to see things that make fun, have huge philosophical discussions, and things where people die and there's sadness and blood and very dark and deep story. This is not the story for. This is not the game for you. This is a game for like, I want to play something positive. I want to see like positive people doing positive things in the light of very, very negative things. And like, this is what this game is about. And I think I think overall, like, barring like some weird, you'll fall in love. You'll love the characters. You'll get a really good idea, and you'll really like them, like it or not. And it's great. And so yeah. So with that said, I think that, I also want to touch on the nostalgia too. I think like the one thing about the history of this game is that there's a huge amount of nostalgia for this. This game sold better in the US than it did in Japan. And like it sold like actually a lot of copies for an RPG, like that's not called Final Fantasy, for instance. And like it's a testament, like you can tell like Working Designs put so much they did so much to try to make the game charming and exciting to play, and like I applaud them for those efforts. I mean, maybe I don't agree with the execution or all the things they decided to do, but you could tell they really wanted this game to work, and I think that's why it's still remembered fondly by US players. And sure, it's no longer really known in the mainstream anymore due to like this game was 16 years ago now. 16 years of people haven't seen Lunar. But then like you talk to people who have played the game and they have a lot of fond memories and they remember the voices. The only thing is like, yeah, nostalgia makes people give this game a huge amount of ratings, and like I don't know if I agree that this is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. In my opinion, it's not, but it doesn't mean that it's not good. And like, this is all subjective anyway. Some people don't like the games I like maybe like Earthbound or Xenoblade or Persona 4, or even like Final Fantasy 6, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. There are many games I could talk about, and like, I mean, like, it's all subjective anyway. So you should definitely give this a try. I think it's worthy of giving a try, and you should definitely go get it, or you can play on emulator, or get a burnt copy and play on your PlayStation with a mod chip. I don't know. You can do many things. So, and I think, yeah. I mean, I also kind of like, I've seen some of the PSP version, and I think the voices there are certain voices that might actually be better in that version, but a lot of people, diehard fans of this version, don't feel that way. And like, it's just like, nostalgia is very powerful, and like, even people like Symphony of the Night PlayStation Portable version, I like, oh, the voices are actually like pretty good, and then like people are like, no, it doesn't have lacks the cheese. I was like, oh well, okay. So yeah, that's just one thing. Like, nostalgia makes you see things very, like, when you were a child, like, when you remember voices exactly the way you remembered it, it's like that feeling of nostalgia in childhood, and that's why a lot of people are really defensive about the voices in this game. And I'm playing this with no nostalgia for this game, because I never had this game as a kid. I only saw this introduced in 2001, long ago, on a game show, but I've never had a PlayStation. So there's no way I could possibly have had nostalgia for this. So I'm playing this as an adult now, with a play who has RPGs on this. And honestly, Illusion, those two games are excellent. I can't see why you wouldn't like them unless I don't know. You'd have to be crazy. You have to be crazy, or you have to have joy, pure joy. I don't know. That's how strong of an opinion I have on Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG. But anyway, I'm getting off the topic. So yeah, I think that about covers up my review for today. So I'm going to post this up, and maybe if I think of anything else, I can post it up tomorrow. But like, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game, so that makes me excited. But now this game's time has passed, and we can talk about the future.